Chapter 9. Reproduction in Animals. Introduction. How does a species ensure its continuous survival on Earth? By producing more organisms of its kind. Reproduction helps to ensure the existence of generations of animals and plants. Reproduction is defined as the process by which living things produce offsprings of their own kind. Modes of reproduction. There are two different modes of reproduction by which animals reproduce to have their young ones or to have the next generation. These two modes are 1. Sexual reproduction and 2. Asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. In many animal species, a male and a female organisms are needed for reproduction. The male and the female organisms have different reproductive organs which produce gametes. This process of fusion of male and female gametes to form a zygote is known as sexual reproduction. A zygote develops into a new individual. We will further study about the reproductive organs and the process of reproduction in humans. Male reproductive organs. In humans, male reproductive organs include a pair of testes, singular testis, 2 sperm ducts, and a penis. The testes produce millions of male gametes which are known as sperms. Sperms are very small in size and are not visible to naked eyes. Although, when observed under a microscope, they can be clearly demarcated into a head, a middle body, and a tail. Sperm is single-celled and has the presence of all the basic cell components. Female reproductive organs. In humans, female reproductive organs include a pair of ovaries, oviducts, fallopian tubes, and the uterus. The ovaries produce female gametes which are known as ova, eggs. The egg is produced in the ovary. When it is matured, the egg is released in the oviduct. Uterus is the part where the development of the baby takes place. Similar to sperms, an egg is also single-celled. Human eggs are very small in size, whereas ostrich eggs are the largest cell. Fertilization. The process of fusion of egg with sperm is called fertilization. The sperms come into contact with the egg. Out of millions of sperms, one sperm can enter the egg and fuse with it. This results in the formation of zygote, which eventually grows into a baby. Since the egg is from the mother and sperm from father, the baby inherits characteristics of both the parents. Formation of zygote. Zygote is formed with the fusion of male and female gametes, sperm and egg. When the gametes mate, their nuclei fuse to form a single nucleus and the two cells combine to become a single cell. This cell is called the fertilized egg or the zygote. The zygote develops into an embryo. In vitro fertilization, IVF, is a technique in which the sperm and ova are combined in a laboratory dish. After fertilization, the embryo is transferred into the woman's uterus. Babies conceived through this technique are known as test tube babies. The first test tube baby was born on 25th July 1978. Cloning. Cloning is a technique through which multiple copies of a single gene, chromosome, or whole organism are created. The process of reproductive cloning technique can produce an animal that is exactly similar to the mother animal without going through the normal reproductive process. Dolly the sheep was created using this technology at Roslin Institute, Scotland. Types of fertilization: internal and external fertilization. Internal fertilization. The process of fertilization which takes place inside the female body is known as internal fertilization. It takes place in humans and also in animals such as dogs, cats, elephants, cows, tigers, and hens. External fertilization. The process of fertilization which takes place outside the female body is known as external fertilization. This type of fertilization takes place in water. During rainy season, the fish lay thousands of eggs in the water. Similarly, frogs move to ponds, and when the male and female come closer, the female releases thousands of eggs in the water. As the eggs get deposited, the male deposits sperms over them. The contact of sperms and eggs leads to fertilization. External fertilization takes place in aquatic animals such as fish, frogs, toads, and starfish. Development of embryo. The fertilized egg or the zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to an embryo. The embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. This ball of cells then starts forming groups which further develops into tissues. The tissues develop further into different organs. The stage of the embryo where all the body parts are unidentifiable is known as fetus. When the process of development of the fetus is completed, then the mother gives birth to the baby. In humans, the entire process takes place in 9 months or 38 weeks.
Determination of the sex of a baby. The sex of the newborn is determined by the set of chromosomes found inside the nucleus. There are 2 types of sex chromosomes, X and Y. Female cells contain the XX pair, while the male cells have the XY pair. Ovum contains 1 X chromosome, whereas sperm contain either X or Y chromosome. When the ovum gets fertilized, the sex of the baby will depend on the sperm which has fertilized it. A diagrammatic representation is shown in image.
Viviparas and Oviparas animals. Animals like cows, dogs, tigers, and humans give birth to young ones. These animals are called viviparas. On the other hand, animals like frogs, hens, fish, and butterflies lay eggs and hatch them. These animals are called oviparas. There are 2 mammalian species, platypus and echinida, which are both egg-laying mammals. Example, oviparas.
Growth from young ones to adult. The newborn will continue to grow till they reach adulthood. The process of growth will vary from one organism to another.
In some animals, the young ones may look different from their adults.
For example, let us study the life cycle of a butterfly. There are 4 different stages in the life cycle of butterflies: eggs, larva, pupa, and butterfly. The process of transformation of the larva into an adult through drastic changes is known as metamorphosis. For example, the emergence of a beautiful butterfly from the cocoon. The life cycle of a butterfly has 4 main stages: egg, larva, pupa, adult. The changes that occur during these stages are controlled by 2 hormones, juvenile hormone and ecdysone. Asexual reproduction. The process of reproduction in very small or microscopic animals is entirely different from processes which we have studied so far. The process of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved is known as asexual reproduction. Few of different types of asexual reproduction are budding and binary fission. The offsprings produced are completely identical to the parent. Budding. In Hydra, there may be 1 or more bulges. These are actually developing new individuals and they are known as buds. After some time, these bulges or buds separate from the parent body and develop into new individuals. Binary fission. Amoeba is a single-celled organism. During reproduction, the nucleus starts dividing into 2 nuclei, which is followed by division of its body into 2 separate parts. Each part receives nuclei of its own. Finally, 2 amoebae are formed from a single parent by the process of binary fission. The entire process is given in the image in 4 simple steps.
Gender issues and myths. Even in 21st century, the female child is still considered to be a burden. Advanced techniques such as ultrasound enable doctors to determine the sex of the unborn baby. This advancement of science is being continuously misused and the process of abortion is used for killing the girl fetus. Many people still believed that the mother is responsible for the birth of girl or child. although it is the father's sperms which determine the sex of a child. Problems of adolescent pregnancy. Each year, more than 16 million children are born to girls in the age group of 15 to 19 years worldwide. Since the age is not appropriate for motherhood, neither physically nor mentally, adolescent pregnancy is dangerous to both the mother and the baby.